What's up, Saints and Aints? Welcome back to another episode of Music and Makeup. This episode, I'm reviewing new music from Mobb Deep, Errol Holden, and Monaleo. And on the makeup, I'm using the new Danessa Myricks Lightwork 7 palette to create a celestial look. So without further ado, let's jump into it. Now, the long-awaited album from Mobb Deep has finally arrived. It's entitled Infinite. If you've been following me for any length of time, you know that I absolutely love Mobb Deep. Their music has been like a soundtrack of my life through my middle school all the way up to like my young adult life. So to hear P and Havoc back together again, it just felt like this was another extension to that soundtrack now at, this age and stage of my life. Now, normally I'm not really a fan of post-posthumous, I think that's how you say it, albums. That Biggie album really left like a bad taste in my mouth just for a multitude of reasons. After that, I quite didn't really recover from like my disappointment in those type of albums. And I really always just had the opinion of, just let people rest in peace and leave it alone. So to say I was a little hesitant to get into this, or I'm not gonna say hesitant, I was a little nervous about how this was gonna turn out is like an understatement. But it is very apparent that this was not a money grab by Havoc or The Alchemist, who also contributed production to this album and who was a longtime collaborator and brother to the group. I wanted to say friend initially in my notes, but I feel like their relationship with him like really transcends just like the friend label. So, he was very close to the both of them and worked very closely with their group. The energy behind this feels more like they wanted to honor their brother and give the fans another chance to hear Mobb Deep rhyming together again. And, they succeeded in that without it sounding, again, like this was some kind of money grab. Now, as I mentioned before, the album's production is courtesy of both Havoc and Alchemist. And there are features on here from Clips, Big Noyd, Nas, Georgia Smith, Raekwon, and Ghostface. And I love everyone who's featured on here, but I'm not gonna lie, I was most excited about hearing what Nas was gonna bring to both of his features, because I loved him in the past when they put him down as a feature specifically on It's Mine, which Nas happens to reference in the song Down For You, which was like my first favorite song off of this album. And I noticed this song has a part 2, which has the same beat, different verses, but I think Her is singing the hook. It kind of reminds me of how Quiet Storm had 2 parts and the second part had Lil Kim on it. Now, the album starts off with Me Against the World. The first line of it is really P saying, I'm back stronger than ever. And you want to talk about the first time I heard that, you want to talk about tears. Every so often, just like with most recently D'Angelo, I will remind myself, I'll have like a moment where I'm like, Prodigy don't have no business being gone. Havoc's production on Easy Bruh has that really classic Mobb Deep feeling. I also love the hook for that. I always liked a good Mobb Deep hook. From Shook Ones to Where Your Heart At, Drink Away the Pain, they had to me some of the best hooks in hip hop. On this song, I really love the line, fuck a gun in your face, I punch straight through it. Fuck a fair fight, you get jumped out here with theme music. In sync with the bass bottom, your pain throbbing. Maybe you learn some sense that's common. And as I mentioned before too, we get a feature 2 from the Clips on the song Look at Me, where Push proclaims that he'd rather rhyme with P's spirit than hop on a song with any of the artists that are out and alive today. And production-wise, the beat for Pour the Henny is one of my favorites on here. That also includes a verse from Nas. Prodigy's verse does have a bit of a melancholy and foreshadowing type of feel to it, because in it, he's basically reflecting on his life, all of the things that he's done, all of the work that he's done, the things that he's accomplished, and basically, tells us not to cry for him because he's had such a full life and has accomplished so many things, so that when it's his time to go, that we not be sad, that we rejoice in a life that was lived to the fullest. And like I said, that just felt like that he even recorded that, felt like such foreshadowing. And so on Clear Black Night, Havoc's verse also has a very reflective tone to it. He alludes to making peace with things that he can't change, and being accountable, or admitting when he's wrong, and how behaving any other way at our age is just not the move, which a lot of people could use that advice. Overall, I really liked Infinite, from the production to the lyrics, and I feel like this was a really well-intentioned and thought-out album. I know some people had some issues with like how Prodigy's verse sounded, but you know, I gave grace with that because, again, this is an album that they're putting together, you know, posthumously. I think that's how you say it. And so I gave grace in that area, that not everything is going to sound, you know, picture perfect or, you know, sound exactly crispy in the way that we want to. I think they did a great job with what they had. Wonderful job in honoring P's wonderful way of honoring not only Prodigy's memory, but Mobb Deep's legacy. So kudos to them all the way around. Infinite, of course, is out on all streaming services. Let me know in the comments if you've heard it and what you think. All right, so next up in new releases, we have Mulberry Silk Road, new album by Errol Holden, presented by Roc Marciano. And this album features production from 2000 Souls. And I think Roc Marci may have produced a track or two on here as well. I know most of the track list on Apple said 2000 Souls, but I know on his Instagram, he listed like a number of songs, so there were some that weren't on his list. Now, I got into Errol's music through his album Supreme Magnetic, which dropped at the beginning of this year. The song Evelyn and North was the song in particular that really caught my attention. And so from there, I went back to his 2024 EP, Schizo Manifesto, and really fell in love with the song 180 Schoolyard, which was like a joy to hear him perform live at SOB's for Roc Marci's 420 concert. And I remember, and I think this is like what solidified me as like a fan of his work, hearing him perform that live. And I remember he performed that with such just like raw emotion that I was sold. And he had the crowd with him too. Like everybody was hanging on to every single word. I know the guy that was behind me, listen, he was feeling every single word that Errol was saying. And I also fucked with the song Pork and Beans for Beauty Queens. It just had these beautiful strings, and then you have, you know, basically Errol giving like his commentary on the world. And that's really like the best way to describe, I would say, his music is like commentary on his own life, commentary on the world he sees around him. And that's always my favorite type of hip hop, where I'm able to like, you're bringing me into a world, showing me something, telling me a story. He's also released a number of EP over the past few months, like War Pig. That was one that stayed in like heavy rotation around here, especially the song Gus Fring. And then he also recently released Dancing Debbie, and you know, I fucked with that too. So to say I was excited to hear Mulberry Silk Road, it's an understatement. Also, it helps too that Roc Marci was involved, so I knew this was gonna be good. It wasn't gonna be no mess. Now, in terms of Errol's style, some people have like a hard time getting with his flow. It does. I hate to cheapen it down to sounding like, oh, it just sounds like spoken word, but it's what it reminds me of. But I feel like if you can, and you know, you have to like every type of music, but I feel like if you can fuck with Brutal Wolf, who kind of also I listen to as like spoken word, or who has a different type of flow, you could get into Earl. His subject matter can be really, like I said earlier, described, you know, as brash and very much so in your face. It's gonna get offensive, right? Only if the shoe fits it, it'll get offensive. So there are times where he may say something that will make the hit dogs holler. But you know, again, that's all comes when you make rap, where you're talking about life and the things that you see. He reminds me of like the first time I ever heard Beanie Sigel's album, The Truth, and the song What's Your Life Like? And that's where Beans is rapping about like the reality of jail. Because during that time period, people had popularized jail. Like, it sounds crazy with us saying it, but people had placed priority on like you was really considered like a real nigga or the man if you had been to jail. So I think he came along and really put to bed all of that, because he was telling you like the reality, real about jail. So I mean, this kind of reminds me of that same type of, you know, carrying on. I feel like Earl does the same thing also, but he manages to weave like luxury into his style too, because there are, even on this album, a lot of raps about designer. So it's just to let you know it's not all just robbery over here. It's some fly shit too. Well, he's from Harlem. And y'all know Harlem done gone triple platinum on my podcast. So, and all of them say the same thing. You must be fly to be from there. Flyness is in their DNA. So it only makes sense that he would incorporate that into his subject matter. Now, as mentioned before, this album features production from 2000 Souls. And I feel like the beat selection for this album was perfect for Errol's very unique flow. Even though Viz Vim Vandal has like a really unique sound, Errol moves around it with very great ease. Speaking of the production, I love the griminess of the beat on Allah's Perfection. The drums on there are just sick, and Errol is like in a really nice pocket on that song. And I love the outro on here when Errol talks about like how bold and outspoken folks have become, caffeinated and verbose even. And yeah, I agree. I don't even want to call them skits, but he has these things like placed at the end of songs, like these conversations, and this is probably one of my favorite ones. So one of the most relatable lines on this album is from Rod Lavers with the Stussy hoodie. It goes, being broke in the summertime is a different type of crime. It'll put you in a different frame of mind. And man, listen, I've experienced this, and it legit feels like when Rudolph got left out of the reindeer games. I cannot describe to you of being in the house and wanting to go outside, and you literally just cannot afford to. So yeah, it's a different type of crime. It'll for sure have you feeling a type of way. And now Brazilian butt lifts and Putt Flips, which is actually what's playing now, is my favorite song on here. As soon as the beat came in, it starts with that Tony Tone sample, but then the beat actually, you know, drops. And as soon as it came in, I was like, oh, I know this is about to be good. You know how you can hear something and just can tell somebody is getting ready to rip that shit? That's how I felt when this beat first came on. It has like this really haunting type of feel to it, you know, while he raps about robbery, fashion, and, you know, women that have fallen off. And the best part of the song, to me, again, it's another one of these conversations at the end where it's him and his friends are talking about the characteristics of, you know, the kid that could not sit still and had to go, you know, sit by your grandma. I say that because I was that child. But yeah, if you was a busybody, or, you know, that people used to say back in the day, we don't like to call kids bad, we just say they're busy. If you was a busy child, you know all about having to sit next to Big Mama because you couldn't behave. I love Caviar on the Bone Marrow too. The organs on this beat give it like a really dark type of feeling. And Dip Dip Diver starts with a tutorial a tutorial for a potential side hustle in this here recession. Some gems that you can take along with you if you ever find that you need a few dollars. Beat on this song is probably a little bit on the faster side compared to all the other songs on here, but again, he maneuvers around, you know, that very well. I also want to note too how his songs tend to not have like an end. They just kind of fade, and some of them do, and I personally like that. Feel like it gives the song, like, do we ever really know the ending of this song? I don't know, I'm weird in that way. I like shit like that, but it gives a feel like, is this song ever really, you know, over? There's no secret how I feel about this album. I think this is a great collaboration between Errol and Roc Marciano. I hopefully that there is more to come from the two of them working together. Mulberry Silk Road is out now on all streaming platforms, and it is also available for purchase. I believe it's mulberrysilkroad.com. If not, I'm going to drop it down in the comments. Or, you know, if you're feeling, you know, I know it's a recession. If you can't make it, just go ahead and give it a stream. It is out on all streaming platforms. If you have heard this album, let me know in the comments what you think. So it is only appropriate as we move on to the blush portion that we start talking about Monaleo's new album, Who Did the Body, because, you know, my girl is known for her pink blush. And this album title makes me so glad that I grew up in the South, because when someone passes, the most important question next to how did they die is who got the body? And that just means who is going to be the person to funeralize your loved one And who gets your body is also a very important part of your homegoing. I already know who I want to get my body when the time comes. So you should probably have that lined up. Like when I lived in 757, it was always Metropolitan. Please call them to get my body. And I forgot what funeral home it was that people said don't go to, but I just knew, call Metropolitan when I go. That's who I want to do my funeral. But down south, that is an important question. This is also fitting because this is a follow-up, to Body Bags. She calls her fans the morticians. So I feel like all of this is just really on theme with the funeral trope and all of that. And it doesn't really stop there because the album also touches on the subject of like life and death. Even on the song Life After Death, Leo raps about her own homegoing and wonders what life will be like in heaven, what she'll be able to do, and how she want her loved ones, to go on without her. Not go on without her, but don't wallow in my death. She tells him, you go take a shot, shake some ass. I don't want y'all to be around being depressed. Don't want my man to move on. I'm gonna haunt him and his new bitch. All of that. Open the Gates is also another song that covers the theme of life and death as Leo calls on her friends that have passed to the other side. And some people, we look at this, I know I did, this song is like veneration, remembering your friends that have passed on, the things that, they would like. She talks about her friend Chant, who would love Whim Whammy, and, that she still sits and, calls on her friends. She knows that they may be absent from the body, but they are still very present in spirit and around, and she still calls on them and remembers her times with them. Now Sexy Sulan is one of the more popular singles from off of this album because there was also I'm Putting You Down. I don't know if I call Bigger Than Big a single because I remember that was kind of like a freestyle, which I'm so happy she put on here. Love the video for this because if there's one thing about me, I would choose being black in every single lifetime. I'm extremely proud to be black. And also this controversy about people feeling, deceived about the meaning of the song. All the promo material or even the snippets that were released, in the back you can see all of the flags from Caribbean and African nations, even the Black Lives Matter flag, are sewn together. I understood that imagery, like we are one. Some people don't like that now and are upset about it, but I understand that under the lens of white supremacy, we're gonna get serious here for a second, your nationality does not save you from anything. Now, maybe once they get to know you, but your nationality cannot be seen at first glance by looking at you. So I say that to say, I don't split hairs when it comes to that because I know in the grand scheme of things, when we get down to it, that do not matter to the people that it be mattering to. We're all victims of colonization, and no matter where we are, be it here, Africa, Caribbean, everywhere across the world. So I'm not making no differentiation between us and all of that. Life is too hard, as my mama would say. Life is too hard. I also like the song Tamron Hall. Shout out to her, one of my favorite television personalities. And I like this song because it's basically advice to her brother. And this really, though, could apply to anyone. And basically talking to him about the benefit of, sometimes slow motion is better than going fast and burning out really quick. And sometimes it's all right when things are moving slow for you because it gives you time to like really develop who you are. And then she also tells him, not to get discouraged, and the art of learning to let go and turn the other cheek, which, I'm still working on that, so I could use that advice. Now on to two of the more emotional songs on here, and I don't know why I waited to talk about these two songs while I have to set my makeup up. I'm gonna try to hold it together. We're gonna first start off with Locked In, and on that song she raps about basically, going the distance for someone. She says, I mentioned you in rooms that, I was barely in just to prove to you how loyal I was. And basically rapping about going the distance for someone to prove that you're down for them and they still do not appreciate it, nor do they care. Then there is Diary of an OG, which OG in this case stands for oldest girl. And if you all do not know, if I have not told you, I am the eldest daughter, firstborn eldest daughter. Been an adult since I was 3, if you didn't know. First time I heard this, I cried like a baby. I had to pull over my car because it was a good cleansing cry, because the little girl in me, it validated what I've always known. I always knew that this is not the way. There's something not right about this. There's too much onus being placed on an 8-year-old, a 9-year-old, an 11-year-old. There's too much onus being placed on me. Best way I can describe to anyone about what it feels like to be a parentified this daughter. I don't know what it's like for the men. Y'all can chime in. But what it's like to be a parentified eldest daughter. The best analogy I have, it feels like someone has come and stolen something from you in the middle of the night. Okay, someone has robbed you of something, and when you go to complain and say, hey, I've been robbed, somebody took something from me, you get told to shut up, that at least the robbers didn't break the window, at least the robbers shut the door on the way out, at least they didn't break your stuff up. You need to just be happy about that. And to hell with the fact you've been robbed. That line that says you got a roof over your head, what more do you need? When you go to complain, and I'm telling you, as somebody who has tried to bring these subjects around, you will be shut down. I can never make a complaint about my parents, because the first thing people say, well, at least they fed and clothed you, put a roof over your head. And I want y'all to know, when you say that, you teach your children that you're not allowed to complain as long as your bare minimum is met. And I'm here to tell you that's not true. Much like Monaleo said in the song, I forgot that this was my world too. And I'm telling you, when you have that revelation that I don't have to say yes to everything, I don't have to let anyone make me feel guilty, I'm worthy too, no matter who I'm standing next to. I am still worthy of love and respect, being talked to like a human being, being treated like a human being, and having my concerns heard without being projected upon, without being, shouted down and told, to just get over it. Girl, thank you so much for writing that song. My old ass felt that deep down in my spirit, and I hope somewhere my family is listening to this and it maybe puts a light bulb or like an aha moment. It probably won't, but I'm just saying that song was just a very healing moment for me, and I thank you for your art and sharing that. And I could also really identify too with the line on here where she says, like, who am I? Who was I called to be? How can I be myself when I don't know me? And that also happened as the eldest. You don't want to be a disappointment. And I don't know if anybody else does, if you go counter to what your dreams or what your parents or what your family has in mind for you, people will really be disappointed, and that will lead you sometimes to run from place to place. I know that was my thing. I was going over here to be an IT professional. My daddy told me you need to take an AP biology, and I'm just running, doing what everyone wants me to do. And I'm telling you, I got into my 30s. And one day I was like, who are you? Who even are you? You're literally like a fucking culmination of what your parents and your sister and everybody is shouting at you, what you need to be doing. And you you don't even know, like, it's other people running your life. Like, I'm telling y'all, it was like there are other people running your life, and they don't have to deal with the consequences. They're telling you what to do. You zip it in here because you think that if you achieve or you do these things, it'll make your family happy, and then maybe they will treat you better. I'm just here to tell you, you have to really do what makes you happy. There is no redo for this life. You only get one, and you do not want to spend it running from pillar to post, trying to be something that other people want you to be. Be who you are called to be. That's that on that. A lesson from an eldest daughter. And get comfortable with saying no. Let it be a complete sentence. Turn your ears off, because when we say no, it's always, you're so selfish. But learn to say no and be okay with whatever backlash comes. And that's that. But thank you, Monaleo, for writing this song. Eldest daughters everywhere, we appreciate you. I also like the message of dignified. That's another one too that dabbles in the life and death aspect, because it's Monaleo and her friends, a night out, and nobody can drive. Monaleo takes a chance. She feels, I'm the most sober of the bunch. I'll drive. she's driving, gets to cruising, hits the wall, and kills everyone in the car. And the message of this is y'all do not be out here drinking and driving, basically. It's a good anthem for that, and I thank her for talking about that, because you don't want to end up harming yourself or worse, somebody else. Even though I love Miss Karen from Real Housewives, I was so disappointed. She could have really hurt somebody, and I don't believe in jail, but I hope she got some rehabilitation in jail and not them just punishing her, because if not, the situation will persist. So good message from Monaleo, and I feel like this is a solid album from her. Love seeing how people have reacted to her. I've been a fan since Beating Down the Block. So it's just good to see her getting her flowers, people recognizing her lyrical ability just all the way across the board. Who Did the Body is out now on all streaming platforms. Make sure you go give that a listen. If you already have, you know what to do. Let me know in the comments what you think. All right, Saints and Aints, it is time for my favorite part of my makeup routine, the lip combo. Today's lip combo is inspired by a tip that I got from Zariah James. She is a makeup artist and hairstylist who specializes in curly cuts. I tagged her here. Y'all go check her out if you are in the area. I posted a video earlier of where I was putting together a lip combo that did not quite go with the eye makeup that I had at the time, so I scrapped it. I was using Pink Peppermint from MAC, and she gave me the tip to pair it with Great Expectations and Caviar. So that's what I have today. Do not have the Caviar liner. I'm going to use the Makeup Artist color pencil, and this is in the shade Whatever Black. But I am going to get Caviar next time I am at MAC. Of course, on the lipstick, we're going to use Pink Peppermint, and the lip liner is Great Expectations. Start off with prepping my lips using the MAC Lip Erase. This is in the shade Medium Neutral. I found that I don't need a lot, and this just really helps. I don't know if it's a primer too. I didn't check for all of that, but I know that it definitely helps neutralize the color on the lips so that your liners and stuff definitely pop through. Okay, we don't want to give too much Tyrone Biggums. And we're going to start with Great Expectations. Nice purple liner here. I'm just gonna go around the edges. Okay, I kind of like how this came out. We're not done. We're gonna add the Pink Peppermint to this, of course, to the middle. And of course, I gotta clean this up. I forgot she had another step. She added lip gloss onto it. I don't have lip gloss, but I do have the Danessa Myricks Color Fix Glaze in the shade Clear. And then I forgot she put like a pink, it was like a holiday edition though, pink lip gloss, and combined the both of them. So I'm gonna do that. This is the shade Oh Baby. Okay, now for the Color Fix Glaze. That gloss, that's gloss on the top, really brings it home. That's what it needed. Do a little bit more here at the bottom. I like this. This matches so perfect. Thank you so much, Zariah. Girl, this was a tip for the ages. I like this. I probably will do what she said last time and put it closer to the corners, because I feel like what I will do next time is use the MAC pencil. The Makeup Forever pencil has like a different texture. It doesn't glide as easily as the MAC pencils. And I guess maybe because they're not solely meant just for lips. So I did struggle a bit in getting this blended, but honey, I love how this turns out. Matches the eyeshadow perfectly. All right, that is the lip combo, Saints and Aints. Love you. Bye.